So on today's video, we're going to be discussing the residual approach and the institutional development approach. So we're going to start off with the residual approach. We can move you in a little bit, see it better. So starting off, we're going to be touching with areas of help only provided when needed and needs are not met by other institutions. It is a safety net, poor or second class, stigma, and temporary. So the residual approach is often looked at as directly for the poor, or in other words, it is for just poor people. Help is only provided and appointed to the individual if all other institutions are not able to meet their individual needs, such as family, friends connections, or religious support groups. So for the safety net and the temporary, they kind of play hand in hand. The residual approach is only temporary until the individual is capable of independence and capable of helping themselves or supporting themselves. So it's only temporarily provided until that's reached. And again, playing hand in hand and connecting as well is the stigma and poor equals second class. So poor people are more so seen or to terms as incompetent or need to be cured of their need of needing assistance or help. So, which in general, that statement alone holds a heavy stigma, which obviously stigmas are meant to hurt people, judge people, and kind of make your own biases against that. However, we're going to bring in the institutional development approach to see that side. So you can see that. So moving on to the institutional developmental approach, we are going to touch upon problems and change, accepted, the need for a good standard of living, and no stigma. The institutional and developmental approach is more so the idea of everyone deserves to be supported by his or her own community. It is mostly accepted by all as everyone would be fulfilling society's needs. It is also seen and recognized that we all do have a goal, or at least a general kind of idea of good living. If that's just waking up and contributing to society and going to work, coming home and making dinner, then all right. Some people see as a good standard of living is going to church, and every Sunday at Mass you donate whenever they come around with the basket. Whatever it is, we all have some general idea of good living that we would like to live by. Also, the no stigma, as the institutional development approach is different from the residual approach, is by being preventative. It is not a safety net. It's not used or given as the effect to a cause of not being able to support yourself. And it is seen that social problems are connected to how human beings within society interact within one another and live with one another. Which when you see a problem, it reacts or creates a plan for social change in reaction to said problem. If you see a problem of how we did it in elementary school, our community was filled with garbage. So our school took a day to give back to the community to change as a reaction to the garbage to clean it up. But for my own position, instead of sitting here and just talking about it, I decided to also make my own approach. Right? So for my opinion on both, I decided to make my own and more so take points or ideas from both the residual approach and the institutional development approach and made my own. I chose the help only provided when needs are not met by most other institutions. It kind of changes, but we'll discuss that later. No stigma and accepted, problems and change, and the need for a good standard of living. My approach, I do believe if we see an issue within society or the community that we live in, we should want to change, as we should all have a good need for standard living. In my opinion, I think institutions should be looked at to provide and meet the needs for individuals. However, when most, if not all, start to fail or may not be available or be able to provide for you anymore, it should act as a preventative if all institutions or most institutions are failing, not as a last resort or a safety net. Obviously including the acceptance of no stigma, which who would want that? No one should experience hatred or backlash comments or conversations or bashing of others, judging them for needing of assistance. So I really strongly would take that from the institutional development approach. But that concludes our video on going over residual approach, institutional development approach, and of course my opinion, which I created my own approach. So thank you.